we did a live reaction. It was interesting. I did a blind live reaction. I think Mike watched it. It was recommended by one of our friends and fans and Discord member.
Great conversations in
So
Discord. You should come join us.
yeah, you can join the Discord. Good conversation. It's very, very populated. A lot of people just talking. Not me though. I will listen. I'm watching.
John only comes into when he needs to defend himself.
Yeah, when I'm yelling.
But Peter and I are very active. It's cool.
Yes, you guys are. And so are many of our, our core members are there. Very cool. One of them, Iron Macedon, recommended a video to watch just casually, and Mike thought it would be a good idea to have us, aka me, react to it. Yeah, a lot of conflicting emotions about this video. I guess if you keep watching, you'll find out.
Deb posted this in our Discord server. She says call her Deb. I'm not doxing her. And it wasn't actually even submitted as something for us to talk about on the show. Sometimes we get into kind of side chats about work reform, layoffs, wage inequity, stuff like that. As I always say, I love my work reform stories. And so I thought it would be fun to just do kind of it's not really a security experts react in this case. Let's call it a tech workers react. And we'll play this YouTube video. So this is essentially a commercial on Upwork for Upwork services. Are you in?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So the video starts. We're sitting in a boardroom. So first of all, classic, right? Butts in seats. That's what old school business mentality. And it's driving even this like back to work stuff. People are productive at home, especially tech workers.
Very like boomer corporate America mentality. Like
we're
already
paying
setting an image.
100%. We're paying for all this rent. I don't know how else to manage people if not for seeing them physically sitting in my office. So until I can do that, then I'm not having it.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm distracted trying to fiddle with my little sources here. So this is the setting. Founder of the company. So that's cute. I wonder though if any of the old school industrialists would look back on the way they built their businesses and lived their lives and think, "Oh, that was the old way. It's time for new blood. We need to let go of the past." I feel like that probably wouldn't happen.
No. Zero chance.
No, okay. A cute premise though. I like it. True. I mean, ultimately, we made everything up, right?
Sure, but it's a good it's a funny jab on like the non roles of the various industries where people are just getting paid to do nothing.
What's that mean? Why do you say that?
Well, I think because there's like roles out there that are just not really doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But he's speaking like the whole system is made up.
Sure. But what they're currently making fun of is
that his role specifically is made.
It's he just doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Got it. He's good with people.
Right.
Good point.
That depends on what that is.
Yes. Is it actually better?
Right.
Fair enough. All right, here we go downhill.
Yeah, here we go.
But like that's the dream, right? Like I'm living on the beach in Greece, doing my remote work, my good job.
Right, but also what's to come here? That is the labor cheaper? You don't
Yeah.
have to pay out
Yeah.
insurance and benefits and PTO and
Yep. 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 The slippery slope. It's a cute commercial though. I do think it's pretty clever. Like the little musical
sure.
agile freelance teams. It's a good selling point. Good selling point. Just hire what you need. Only pay for the resources while you need them.
Yeah.
Like cloud computing.
Okay. It's a bit brutal.
It is. It is.
I feel like they kind of missed the mark. They were so close.
Really?
I get it, right? Like Upwork is their whole business model is find contractors quickly.
Well, so
And
let's. Sorry, go ahead. But I want to look just. I want to kind of break it down into sections. But finish your thought.
sure, sure, let's do it. Go ahead.
So as an ad for Upwork, it's pretty good, right?
I mean, it was funny sometimes. I liked when they made fun of that guy, Alan or whatever, but I have some problems with it. It's a good ad.
So criticize the ad. What's the critique of the ad?
I guess my problem is that it's almost promoting taking advantage of foreign low pay workers.
Yeah. So now you're getting into the content of the ad, which
Yeah,
is so even there, I'd split it into. And I guess this is
sure.
what happens with that, right? So on one hand, they're saying our model of work is flawed. It's time to reinvent it.
Agreed.
Great, sounds good. But
Yep.
then you get to the conclusion, which is what you're calling out.
Yeah. I think that it is true. It is outdated. We do not need to go to offices anymore. If people want to go to offices, that's totally fine, but we don't need to.
Yep.
We just don't need to. We have stable internet. We have computers accessible to everyone. Damn near. We can work from home now. And I like that premise. I don't like the part where they're like, hire this guy from Greece.
Yeah,
He's a freelance master. It's like, what the fuck does that
I
mean?
know.
Like, no. Also, hire, ramp up, ramp down.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
It's commoditizing
really
the workforce for sure.
digging their heels into the fact that you are not tied to contracts or agreements,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
which is kind of a non-issue because most of the U.S. is on a um, what's it called?
Right to work is that what you're thinking? W-2,
Yeah, like what the fuck is it called?
1099. Describe it.
No,
We'll,
no,
we'll
no.
come up
They're
with it.
full-time employees, but they can get fired for any reason and they can quit for any reason. What is it
Right to
called?
work.
At will.
Oh, at will. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. At will. I was very committed to my answer though.
Yeah, you were confidently incorrect.
Like, no, this is what it is. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm
At
totally
will
wrong.
employment kind of protects these companies anyway to fire whenever they want.
Yeah.
But like with contractors, you can basically say, I don't think you're under that whole layoff
Yep.
stuff that a lot of companies are dealing with right now. So you can just fire all
Oh,
of your
yeah.
contractors
Layoffs.
at the
That's a
same
great point.
time,
I didn't even have that on my list.
and you're totally fine.
I wrote a
Um,
whole list of the downsides, and I didn't even have layoffs, so we're building out an already.
right.
So
So
there's upsides and downsides, right? So for us as skilled U.S. labor, it is to our disadvantage to have jobs outsourced, right? Personally, we have a vested interest in this.
Depends. Well, okay.
I mean, I don't
Some
want my
jobs
job
should be
outsourced.
no, but we're protected in that some jobs
Are we?
require you, because of regulation, require you to be in the U.S. depending on what you do.
Mm-hmm. Mine does
Depending on the
not.
data you handle. Depending on the data you handle, yours could. And could not, and mine could and could not. All depends on the industry and the company. But yeah, I don't think I'm a fan.
And not all jobs are remote. Certainly, it doesn't apply to service workers. It doesn't apply to all tech workers. Some jobs are done on site. So you're primarily looking at jobs that can be outsourced, largely jobs that either are remote or could be done remotely. And from a business standpoint, like, it makes sense. You want to keep your costs down. We talk about the idea of employment kind of being flawed, because if I can do my work in 4 hours and you're paying me for 40, that's a win for me. But from the business standpoint, they look at that and say, oh, well, but then I could just pay somebody for 4 hours and I don't have to carry you for all that extra time. So clearly, to the business advantage, if you are a skilled employee in a very low cost of living area, a more impoverished area, anywhere that salaries are lower than you would get for these jobs, could be clearly an advantage for you. So what are the downsides? If you are self-employed, you get no paid time off. You get no health insurance.
Nope.
You may not even know this, but if you are an employee, they pay part of your Social Security tax. And if you're not an employee, if you're a contractor, you are responsible for paying that additional portion of the Social Security taxes. So your taxes will actually go up, even for the same money. But also keep in mind that you're not getting wages. You're only getting paid for project work. So if you don't have 2,000 hours worth of projects a year,
just not getting,
at a rate that's higher than what you were getting before to offset all these other things, the benefits that you're not getting, the increased taxes, then you're going to come out well underwater. You may have, as a contractor, increased personal liability. Some companies who work with contractors require the contractors to have their own errors and emissions insurance along with professional liability insurance. Right. So if you are a programmer and you've done contract work, you may be familiar. You might have to have your own insurance against your professional liability. If you write an application for somebody, you're responsible for their damages if your application causes failure. You get no protection from labor laws, like John said about the layoffs. No job security.
And also, no job security. Employers view contractors in a different light than full-time employees. Mm-hmm. Full-time employees, it's a commitment. They are committing to you. A contractor can be ripped off like a Band-Aid, just instantly. Your cost, gone.
Which is exactly what Upwork is selling.
That's true. They're targeting both the employer and the employee here in this ad.
Yeah. The other, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, it also feels like they're glamorizing things that shouldn't be glamorized. Like unless you like the contractor life, maybe you have multiple contracts at the same time or whatever. It's a lot of extra work for the same amount of work. Like, what I mean is, a full-time programmer and a contracted programmer is going to have to spend more of their time doing things to maintain this deal. All the
finding your own business.
Yeah, Mike mentioned, versus the full-time employee doesn't have to worry about even paying taxes. All they have to worry about is filing their W-4 or whatever at the end of the year, or at the start of the year, I guess, and boom. That's it. That's all they have to worry about. Health insurance is covered. PTO is covered in an ideal world. So, in the US, all in all, not a fan.
No, for sure. In the US, the tax problem is actually worse because this is a way for corporations to pay less corporate tax, which means as individuals who are now having our jobs outsourced, that tax burden, as it has been already anyway, is going to get pushed onto us even more. So our personal taxes are going to go up in addition to all the other things we've discussed. And then the other issue that I had in my notes was so it's a race to the bottom. There was a really good NPR. I think there were 2 episodes, but they talked about t-shirt factories chasing labor around the globe and how because they want this very low cost labor to create this very commoditized, inexpensive, good t-shirts, they'll find us an area that has super low cost of living, very low wages, impoverished area, and build a factory there because they can get very cheap labor in that local area. And the people who live there love it because now they have jobs and can make some money. But over time, their standard of living rises and their cost of living rises and their demand for wages rises. And the t-shirt manufacturer realizes, oh shit, now it's costing me more here. I can just do the same thing again in some other impoverished, low wage, low cost of living part of the world. And they pick up and move. And in this NPR series, they talk about how this has happened 2, 3, 4 times around the world in different countries, creating, like, leaving devastation in its wake. So even if it's good in the short term, it creates a situation. Now the factory picks up and leaves, and all these people who are depending on that income now are left with a higher cost of living and no wages. And so to some extent, this kind of creates that same dynamic where companies can look for the cheapest labor anywhere in the world, take advantage of low cost of living, good, conversion rates on currency, whatever. But overall, it'll have the effect of bringing wages down for everybody. So all in all, terrible, terrible, terrible idea. I am not on board. I like the commercial though.
Yeah, good song, I guess. We saw this on a domestic scale in America with COVID, causing everyone to up and leave these giant metros where they were getting paid a bunch of money. They moved to ski towns and beach towns and random middle of nowhere towns in the middle of America. And they piled in and bought all the housing available and were making all this money. So all the stores were able to raise their prices. And now all of a sudden the people who are from their generations can't afford to live there anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, we're seeing a lot of these types of consequences. Obviously that was not intentional by all the high earners who left their metros. And it was a way lesser extent than like ruining the macro economy of a large village or town or city outside of the US. Yeah. So yeah, all in all, terrible idea, good commercial, and also a good thing to talk about and think about.
Yeah, I think the other reason I wanted to talk about this is that there are employees, current workers, tech workers, very often, who think, so in 2007, I left the job that I was at in October 2007, which you may recall was the month that the Great Recession officially began. So it was great timing to start my own managed services company because I thought, well, if this jackass that I'm working for can run a business, then any jackass must be able to run a business. And I'm a jackass, so I could start my own business.
And you know what? From 2002, 2003 till 2006 into 2007,
right up until I started,
could start a business. Yeah,
especially in tech. But these are the things I didn't understand starting the business: getting your own work, insurance, taxes, wage conversion from employee to contractor. You really, if you're thinking about making this jump, go back and re-listen to the episode and think about every one of those bullet points and how you're going to account for that in your business, because that's what's going to make or break you as a business, as a contractor, as whatever you end up doing. Right. Which I fully support. I love, I'm an employee now, but I've been self-employed. I've been a business owner, fully on board for all of it, but know what you're getting in for and be skeptical of anything that sounds good for business. Is it actually good for us? Often not. But let us know in the comments what your experience is with this. I think it's for the people who have considered it, share, what's the number one thing that you wouldn't have thought of? But if you've already done this, what's your best piece of advice for people who are considering moving to a freelancer contract role that they might not have thought of? you.